What if we told you that the largest political fundraising operation in American history was built on a foundation of fraud? Well, tonight we're going to show you something that will fundamentally change your understanding of how modern elections work. We've been examining thousands of donations, following paper trails that lead to some very interesting places. And what we found involves retired educators, suspicious patterns, and money flowing from places it shouldn't. The evidence is so damning. Certain people in Washington are already lawyering up. So pay close attention to what comes next, because this story is about to blow wide open. Just as our investigation exposes the high-pressure world of political money, many Americans are struggling with their own pressure problems. Think about it. Half of all adults have high blood pressure, yet only 1 in 4 have it under control. While we monitor the nation's political health, it's crucial to monitor your own. That's why I trust this incredible natural formula designed to help manage blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight safely. Visit boostwithgary.com and get up to 40% off during our special promotion. Take control of your health like we're taking control of our republic. Okay, so the big bombshell. President Trump has finally unleashed the DOJ. The DOJ to investigate the massive fraud machine at ActBlue, the foreign money and identity theft scheme that's been funding the Democrat machine for years is about to be exposed. This is what accountability looks like. Let's dive in. So remember when James O'Keefe caught ActBlue red-handed? He found retired educators supposedly making over 10,000 separate donations totaling $75,000 in a single year. When confronted, they had no idea their identities were being used, and the deep state buried it. Check this out from the O'Keefe Media Group.
Red is apparently... There's this data that we looked at from this man in Wisconsin who compiled all the FEC data, and your name in New Jersey was the top one. You remember our ActBlue story from March about tons of mysterious cash being funneled into Democratic campaigns by unwitting donors? Well, we just learned that the Republican counterpart to ActBlue, WinRed, is apparently in on it too. Data we obtained from the Federal Election Commission seems to suggest that countless unwitting campaign donors are giving huge amounts of money to various candidates, but they're doing it in thousands of small transactions spread throughout the year. But what exactly are they hiding? We decided to pay a visit to the most active political donor in the state of New Jersey, according to Federal Election Commission data, to try to figure out what's going on. This retired education administrator told me she gives a few bucks here and there to WinRed a couple of times a month. There's this data that we looked at from this man in Wisconsin who compiled all the FEC data, and your name in New Jersey was the top one. Listen to this. The FEC says Alexandra Gina gave $75,000 last year, donating a total of 10,355 times. They say in 2021 she gave $61,000 to candidates in 5,700 separate donations. So far this year, the FEC says Gina has given $16,798 in 2,486 separate donations. What does the FEC say she's donated in the past 3 years? Just over $154,000. But Gina denies this. How many times do you think you've donated? Is it 100 times? Is it 20 times? Is it just order of magnitude? Did you donate 30 times in 2 days?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It gets weirder. On May 21st of this year, FEC data seemed to indicate that Ms. Gina apparently gave 3 separate Republican causes a donation of 5 cents apiece.
Those are small. In terms of the number of donations, yes, they are separate, but they're part of one solicitation.
We reached out to a number of people and didn't get many answers. We tried WinRed, we tried the head of WinRed, we tried the FEC in Washington, but neither would explain these discrepancies or where the money is actually coming from. In fact, no one really wanted to talk about it at all. It sounds like WinRed and ActBlue are attributing thousands of dollars in contributions to unwitting donors and funneling them to political campaigns in multiple micro donations spread throughout the year. Alexandra Gina, who seems to be a victim of the scheme, calls this mind-boggling.
But it is disturbing because it's mind-boggling that it should be that much.
Maybe that's why they call it dark money. WinRed and ActBlue are both political action committees, and they raise money for candidates in their respective parties through online donations. They're now the biggest sources of funding for any campaign by far, processing most of the contributions from individual donors in each election cycle. The FEC does place limits on the amount an individual can donate to a campaign. It's $5,000 a year for a single candidate. But there are no limits to what a person can donate to so-called super PACs. A super PAC acts just like a regular PAC, but it operates completely independently from the campaign. They can raise unlimited cash, but they can't coordinate with the campaign or candidate. So is that what's happening? Or is it something more sinister? There's this data that we look.
So WinRed, apparently, in on the take as well. I've donated through WinRed. I'm sure you have too. And I had suspicions initially that perhaps they would. And now James O'Keefe has confirmed it. And now President Trump signing a historic memorandum directing AG Pam Bondi to investigate how ActBlue has been using straw donors and foreign money to illegally influence our elections. Check this out.
And foreign contributions. Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate ActBlue. This is a Democratic donation platform, and the focus as the allegations about illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called ActBlue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. ActBlue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the ActBlue website. Republicans use something similar called WinRed. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using the ActBlue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months. Republicans who've been looking to this for years up on the Hill say a formal federal investigation is long overdue.
We know nefarious countries that don't have the United States interests at heart are looking for ways to influence and impact U.S. policy. Making sure that we're closing the door to that as it relates to campaign finance and as it relates to actually voting in U.S. elections is absolutely essential.
ActBlue says it's ready to defend itself, including through the courts. Overnight, the new chairman of the Democratic National Committee released a blistering statement accusing Trump of trying to silence his opposition. Ken Mart writing, Trump is trying to block lawful grassroots donations from supporters, giving just $5 or $10 to candidates who oppose him, while further empowering the corrupt billionaires who already control his administration. And
what a joke. Oh, yeah, President Trump's trying to interfere with elections by investigating election fraud. Okay, those trying to debunk O'Keefe's investigation actually admitted it was true. Their defense, it's not a big deal that elderly people made $2,400 donations. Let's listen to what Tim Pool's talking about here.
Be true, right? James O'Keefe began investigating ActBlue and found peculiar instances where individuals had been making, 3,000 donations over a short period, elderly individuals. Now, that couldn't possibly be true, right? Straw donations. People are contributing in someone else's name, but who, how, and why? Then you have a fear of foreign donations, much in the same way. And now, my friends, it has begun. Trump has ordered the probe of foreign funding and straw donors in elections after ActBlue fraud claims. President Trump signed a memo Thursday ordering a probe of any illicit straw donors or foreign funding that flowed into federal elections following claims the largest Democratic fundraising platform has accepted fraudulent contributions in 2024. Based on the evidence I have seen, I am of the opinion that it is a fact that ActBlue is funneling foreign donations into the Democratic Party and to themselves.
Do you realize the ramifications of this? If they can track it back to the foreign countries and the foreign donors, I mean, remember when they screamed and yelled because Russia bought Facebook ads and influenced the election? It will make that moment in history look like small potatoes. I mean, we're talking billions and billions of dollars funneled in through micro donations using straw donors to influence our elections. So in 6 months, we're going to get some answers. Pam Bondi is going to be investigating this. I really hope that she can get to the bottom of this, because this is insane. And their heads are going to roll. Like this. James O'Keefe found a Maryland resident supposedly making over 3,000 donations. The fact checkers tried to debunk him, but could only show it was just 2,213 donations.
Elections for years. But Democrats do seem to be disproportionately benefiting from the data we reviewed on the FEC website. Everyone talks about George Soros, but I bet you didn't know that Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss has been pumping hundreds of millions of dollars in this dark money into American elections for years.
There's a Swiss billionaire named Hans-Jörg Wyss who has been giving hundreds of millions of dollars into these new 501c4 entities that were made possible by the Citizens United decision. He's been contributing like hundreds of millions of dollars to democratic and progressive causes. His own sister wrote a biography and then said in the biography that he specifically wants to remake the American Constitution into something that specifically pushes progressive value.
We've been following this story for more than a year, and our reporting has led to calls for investigations by Marco Rubio when we did the ActBlue's story, among other developments. You can count on my team and myself at OMG to keep looking and digging for answers.
Everybody needs to be held accountable to make sure that we're keeping foreign money out of elections and we're not having, mass fraud occur online to influence elections.
This story matters to a lot of people. A lot of you have told us this is our biggest and most important reporting yet, and it's not over. You can actually help us report this story. The FEC has a database. You can see it right here. You can go on fec.gov and you can search for your own individual contributions on file or in your state. Maybe you can knock on some doors, ask these citizens if they've done this, ask to review their bank statements, see if those citizens will show you their bank. But Democrats do.
The left's panicking. ActBlue's response: call it an assault on democracy. Hiring lawyers. If they have nothing to hide, why not welcome the investigation? Because they know what's coming. Check this out.
Just in the past few hours,
MSNBC, breaking news.
Donald Trump's campaign of retribution is now taking direct aim at the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform, ActBlue. Just in the past few hours, the president signed a memorandum directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to, quote, investigate allegations regarding the unlawful use of online fundraising platforms to make straw or dummy contributions.
Donald Trump is targeting. Listen to the language they're using.
Or foreign contributions to political candidates and committees, and to take all appropriate actions to enforce the law. Congressional Republicans have separately been investigating these claims of straw and foreign donations, which thus far have been unsubstantiated. Now, for those at home who may not be familiar with the name ActBlue, it is widely considered to be one of the pillars of the Democrats' digital ecosystem. It has given them a significant advantage over Republicans in terms of small dollar fundraising. It's not just presidential candidates, also candidates for congressional, state, and local races. Odds are, if you have donated to a Democratic candidate or a Democratic cause in the past several years, it's probably been through ActBlue. And this move by the president today could have major consequences for Democratic candidates, potentially hurting their ability to begin donations and therefore compete in future elections. And it comes as the Associated Press is reporting that in the first 3 months of this year alone, donors have given more than $400 million to Democratic candidates through ActBlue.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Now, check this out. These aren't just technical violations. ActBlue has been linked to groups funding violent protests and anti-Semitic activities. They're laundering foreign money through prepaid cards and fake identities. No wonder they trained employees to look for reasons to accept suspicious donations.
A foreign money launderer. ActBlue, the Democratic Party's key fundraising platform, is under increasing scrutiny amid allegations of fraud and illegal activities. Republicans have accused ActBlue of collecting money through deceptive methods, sparking congressional inquiries and a series of staff departures. The platform, which has processed over $16 billion in donations since 2004, is facing claims of foreign money laundering and financing terrorism. Notable accusations include failures to verify donor identities, which could open the door to fraudulent contributions. In response, ActBlue has implemented new credit verification value requirements, but loopholes still remain. Representative Andy Biggs has called for an FBI investigation, while Representative Darrell Issa has urged a Treasury Department probe into allegations of ties to terror-linked organizations. ActBlue has also been linked to groups that have supported violent protests and anti-Semitic activities. The platform is now at a crossroads as it must navigate these serious allegations while maintaining its role in Democratic fundraising. ActBlue has not responded to requests for comment.
Of course they haven't responded to requests. The SHIELD Act would have stopped this fraud by requiring CVV codes and banning prepaid cards. Very simple. ActBlue lobbied against it because they didn't want to verify donors. Why? Because they were training employees to look for reasons to accept suspicious donations. Alex Jones, ActBlue's head, admitted in congressional testimony they received billions from overseas credit cards. They've been caught.
Donations in the last couple of Earlier this week in Congress, ActBlue's head testified and confessed that, yes, they got billions of dollars of donations in the last couple of election cycles from overseas credit cards. And of course, they've been caught taking the names of tens of thousands of innocent Americans, including prominent Republicans even, and giving massive donations in them names with somebody else's credit cards. Absolute money laundering, cut and dry. And now it's come out, and I'll link to some of the investigations below, that ActBlue has been the main group funding protests and assaults and attacks on Tesla dealerships around the United States, and other leftist groups are funding them in Europe. Pure intimidation and bullying to try to stop the head of DOJ, Elon Musk, from doing the incredibly important work he's doing, exposing these criminals. So, whether it's the Soroses funding Antifa and color revolutions, or big dark donors, dark money, hidden money, being given for all these different campaigns that we've seen against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his confirmation. It's the same criminal cabals that are doing it, and DOJ is literally cutting off most of the government money that they've been getting from USAID, of course, the EPA, and other big illegal slush funds. It came out last week that John Podesta, one of the top people in the Democratic Party, was over a $370+ billion slush fund, tens of billions of it going in just the last election cycle of the Democrats. This is cut and dry. Pam Bondi, the AG, Kash Patel, the FBI director, have cut and dry evidence, and it's being reported that all those groups, ActBlue, you name it, the USAID operatives, the EPA people, are all under criminal investigation. So expect major indictments soon. As promised a week ago, Pam Bondi is now basically removed or forced to resign a whole bunch of top FBI and DOJ officials in the Southern District that have been suppressing the Epstein files. And she said last week an entire truckload was delivered to her and that she'll be releasing it soon. Only the names of the victims redacted. So far, they've been doing everything they say they would do. But as the vice president said when he was asked, hey, why aren't there more deportations? He said Rome wasn't built in a day. They've already cut border crossings by 94%. They're deporting thousands a day, and they're really escalating their operations up as they get more people in. So overall, I'm very, very impressed by Trump, by Musk, by DOJ, by the vice president, by everybody. This is a real change that we're seeing. And as Trump said, the globalists had all these policies in place to keep us poor and to control Americans, and he is reversing all of those, but it's going to take time. I'm actually very impressed by how fast they're moving. They're not God, folks, but they are definitely trying to do the best job they can to turn this country around. I'm very, 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 very excited about that. Very, very thankful to all of you that voted for Trump and got behind Trump, but we've got a lot more to do. And we need to support what they're doing and be their eyes and ears on the ground. God bless you all. Please follow me right here on X at Real Alex Jones and read the reports below about ActBlue funding all of this bullying, intimidation, and soft terrorism.
Wow. President Trump just called them out. ActBlue, the Democrats' illegal scam used to raise money, including from not allowed foreign contributions, is being looked at by authorities. The Dems only know how to win by cheating, and he's right. The USA is wise to these scoundrels and crooks. Here is the post that he made on True Social. Hopefully, ActBlue and Democrats' legal scam used to raise money, including from not allowed foreign contributions, is being looked at by authorities. The Dems only know how to win by cheating, something which they do better than any group or party in history. But now, with their terrible policies and candidates, and with people like crooked Adam Schiff, who demanded a full pardon from Sleepy Joe leading the way, it's almost impossible to reach their money goals. The USA is wise to these scoundrels and crooks. Also, why did the auto pen give Schiff a pardon? Biden knew nothing about it. Who operated the auto pen? That is the biggest question being asked in D.C. They almost destroyed our country. They should be in jail. So the investigation is just beginning. Expect major indictments as AG Bondi and FBI Director Patel follow the money trail. The truth about who's really been controlling our elections is about to be exposed. America is taking back its democracy, its republic, from the globalist puppet masters. And there I am on the beat at the White House. So the revelations we've shared tonight about ActBlue's operations aren't just about campaign finance. They're about the integrity of our entire system. When you see elderly Americans making thousands of donations without their knowledge, you have to ask, how many more victims are out there? How long has this been going on? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because we need to hear what you think about this unprecedented assault on our electoral system. And before you go, take a moment to visit shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Your support through our merch helps us continue our mission to expose corruption at the highest levels.